All right, we want to plywood into the yard so we don't mess up the grass. I sprayed orange where I want French drain. I had to get rid of this line because we added this big line with the homeowner afterwards. Just do this stone. I wanted 3 teeth. 3 teeth. The medio bucket. Okay? Medio pella. Alright. Stone. Just stone right there, guys. French drain. Blue pipe. You know, stone here. Blue pipe here. Stone. Blue pipe. Blue pipe. Stone. Blue pipe. Stone. Blue pipe. Stone. Blue pipe. Blue pipe. It's going to be 145 feet of French drain. Then when you go to white, the white is solid because we're moving this down there. And we're moving one more. So remember, 145 feet of French drain total. 145 feet. It's a nice job. I like the neighborhood. Look at the parking, is beautiful. We can put all our stuff on one side by the park here. Okay, so cable, that's bad. Cable, that's bad. Electrical, that's bad. So we're gonna dig right here. We're gonna have to go in the bed because of the fiber optics. We stay in the bed. See, we're extending this. So we're gonna hook up and get that water out there. And that's the whole job, guys. Now listen, whenever there's a swimming pool in the middle of a yard like this, it means the sprinkler company had to take their machine and go around it. So all the sprinkler lines are going to be around this pool. Just telling you, there's probably going to be 3 main lines of sprinklers back here. 2 for sure. We did a job in Macomb Township, Michigan, and it was so wet in the back behind this pool that we had to build quite a system. Now, I know Macomb very, very well. Macomb, for me, and every contractor has a city like this. If you've worked 35 years as a contractor, there's going to be a city that you have been a part of since conception. Macomb Township is a community that's best known for its brick veneer homes and great school systems. Literally, if Joe Lunchbox makes it to Macomb Township, that's saying something. You've done something. So here's some drone footage so that you can get familiar of the site as we talk about it. We have a pretty wide bucket on our machine. We're doing a 16-inch dig and we're going 20 inches wide. That's how bad the clay is in Macomb Township, Michigan. Now, my whole career, all 35 years, I've worked in Macomb Township in one way or another, whether it was design build, because we've done so many outdoor structures, pool yards, outdoor living spaces. We know drainage. We know how to take care of drainage problems. When this homeowner contacted me and said that there was so much water in this narrow green belt behind his pool, and I seen just how bad it was, I knew we were going to have to build him a really decent yard drain, French drain, and that's what we did. So we're removing so much clay. I believe we took out about 35 yards of clay, and you're going to get to see just how much High Octane took place of that clay. Now notice how we have a main, and it's like an L shape, and it runs, down the back of the property there behind the pool. You could see where I have a bunch of just hash marks, if you will. That's where you want to put a cross T. If you're in the need for a cross T because it's more a contractor fitting than it is, say, a a box store fitting. They're in our online store, but we put a bunch of T's and cross T's in this system in order to build this. Again, it's a real tight green belt, very narrow in the back of the property, and between the neighbors watering, probably the kids playing in the pool, water splashing out, and then just you're asking water to funnel to the storm drain. And remember, a storm drain is for storm water, and that's only good for surface water. So it's not going to help you as far as the saturation of your clay in Macomb Township, Michigan. It's not going to help you. You actually have to dig out the clay so that you can put in stone, and now you need a way to channel that water off your property. So you can't define gravity and ask water to just levitate, go up and through that storm grate. That's why we core drill through the storm. It's about 12 inches of concrete, and we do it the way Macomb Township wants us to do it. And they love when we're in Macomb Township doing a tap, because they know we're going to do a correct core and tap, and we're going to use Schedule 40, and we're going to use hydraulic concrete when we go ahead and connect this. So now the water is not trying to go up and in through the top of the storm drain catch basin, but it's going to go through the side of it. Just like pulling the plug on a bathtub, that's how this system is going to drain. Now, this yard will never reach the level of saturation that it's at right now. We did end up on a rain delay. This was our morning job, and we ended up having to just sit for 2 hours in the trucks while it just poured, cats and dogs, man. It was coming down sideways. So we just waited for the rain to quit, and then we just jumped right on it. But you can just see how much water's back here. Now, keep in mind, if you live in Macomb Township, Michigan, and if you're dealing with clay that has low percolation, so here's a great shot. As the drone, lifts, you could see where we're working in that backyard on that property. So in any case, as I'm parking the drone here to get you back to some GoPro footage in the backyard, we use 1.5 inch cobble rock. Remember that. We use 1.5 inch cobble rock. Everybody wants to know what size stone are you using. 1.5 inch round rock. We prefer round rock. So the guys, they're putting in High Octane, and they're working their way out of this yard. They look at how big that system is. There's 3 High Octanes on top of 3 High Octanes. I mean, that is insane. I mean, that is one great French drain system. So as you can see, we have a 6-man crew on this job. I wanted to get it done and get to another job, and we were going to finish that as well. Of course, the rain delay does change things, but we did make it to our second job, and we put a pretty good dent in it. But this is what it takes. You have to build your road in. You have to have everybody on the same page. If everybody's not on the same page, it's going to be a disaster. So they're cooking up to the storm drain. We've already done our core. We've already done that core and tap that I refer to. People say, what's a core and tap? Well, you hammer drill with a core so that it's got carbide tips. You core through the cement. It's nice and clean so you don't end up damaging the infrastructure. If you just took a sledgehammer and a chisel, you're going to end up with fracture cracks, and you could have a failed storm drain catch basin on your hands. So you see that 1.5 inch cobble? It's really big stone. You want to use 1.5 inch round rock. Round rock preferably, because round rock doesn't compact like crushed stone. Crushed stone compacts. If all you have available is crushed stone, then go 1.5 inch to 2.5 inches. Go up in size, and make sure there's no fines. If there is fines, then you're definitely going to want to use the High Octane with the sock on it so that those little stone chips don't plug your pipe. We have a downspout that we ran all the way, to the corner of this yard because it was making such a mess. You can see all the water's trying to funnel, to that storm drain. It's just not possible. So here's a time lapse of just the road in, just everybody's working their way out. It's very methodical. This is key. If you're a DIYer and you're trying to figure out how to go about your project, you want to definitely build a road in and work your way out. Focus on that. It's okay to finish a portion of your drain, put your fabric in place, put your pipe in place, put your stone in place, and then back up, start digging again. That's okay. You can do that. You can work out of a job. You know, you build a road in and then you disassemble that road as you work your way out. So the excavation is the most time consuming. And when you get to put pipe in, when it's time to pin the fabric and put pipe in, you're pretty happy. You're a pretty happy camper, especially if you're a DIYer and you're not running this equipment every day and it's just second nature for you. You can see Francisco is, I'll put him up against anybody in a track hoe. He can swing dirt like a madman. And as you noticed, even though this is obviously a time lapse, he's not taking breaks. You don't see that machine stopping. I mean, it's not like, you know, he's getting off the machine and has to have a discussion with the guy in the trench. Everybody's very familiar with one another, our techniques. It's everything we practice, it's carried on to the next job. You know, it's just install, repeat. So here we are, you know, we dug the main across the back, that L shape. Now we're taking, you know, care of those cross tees that I showed you. So this is very important. You can see how they're putting that piece of plywood behind Francisco's track hoe, and that's so he can dig out those, what I was calling hash marks. And you know, you're going to be using cross tees and tees when you do things like that. Now, you don't have to necessarily put all these fittings together. If you just want to run High Octane in a line and then fill these little hashtags with stone, that's what's known as a blind inlet because it has no pipe, and that's perfectly fine. Right here, I know the main is going to handle the volume of water that this yard is seeing. And the reason why we wanted to fill it was so much High Octane. High Octane, it just dries out the yard so fast because you have so much air moving from one pipe to the other. When you have 6 High Octane pipes in a trench like we do here, it's truly amazing how the air itself on a warm summer day just dries out and tightens up a yard. Because when it's not moving water, you got to remember all those pipes, all that High Octane, all that perforated blue pipe, that's High Octane, that's circulating air. And the reason why we prefer so many pipes, you create that much more void, that much more air circulating, and you're going to dry out the yard that much faster. So we get a lot of questions, a lot of comments in our comment section, so I'm trying to answer them all. Now, we always take a blower and blow off the plywood right into the trench so that you can just put your fabric over that. All those little dirt crumbs didn't hurt anything. Again, this is all about efficiency. Even as a DIYer, you want to be efficient. You want to go about this in a very methodical way. There's nothing worse than painting yourself into a corner, and now you're asking yourself, now I got to go back and do that, and I got to drive these machines and plywood over the system that I just installed. So this is working out really well. They're getting the 1.5-inch round rock, because remember, round rock doesn't compact. When the stone compacts, you lose void, and then you lose, you know, your flow rating. They are very, very particular about how much stone. You can see how the guys are communicating, and they're working to get just the right amount of stone, because they got to be able to pull this fabric really, really tight, pin it, and there has to be a little recessed area. Look at that, man. Look at all that High Octane. That is one ripping system. I just love it. This gentleman, wonderful family, great customer. I thank you for your business. And again, to Macomb Township in general, thank you for welcoming us for the past 35 years to help you guys with, God, it's been quite a journey, but from in-ground swimming pools to big outdoor living spaces, you know, right down to what we primarily do now, and that's yard drainage. So the biggest part of the job is the dig. you don't want to handle the dirt more than once. I just want to remind everybody of that. You don't put it in a pile at the apron of your driveway. You know, you don't put it in a pile in the street, or you don't put it in a pile in the corner of your yard, because when you take that rental equipment back and that pile settles, it ain't going to shovel easy. It's going to be a nightmare. So honestly, as somebody who's been in urban and suburban excavation his whole life, you handle dirt once, and that's it. You get it in the bucket of the mini skid loader, the ditch witch, and you take it, and wherever it ends up at that point, you're done. You don't have to deal with it again. So hopefully you have a rented dump trailer that's very popular now, so that you can take that dirt to someplace local. It's super easy to give this dirt away. It's really easy to give this dirt away. It's the cleanest fill on the planet. So people that are looking for fill absolutely love our dirt from doing yard drains. Usually, if the builders bring fill dirt, it has a lot of broken concrete, a lot of debris. It's basically the builder's burial ground, right? So that's what they're covering up all that stuff with dirt, trying to get rid of it. Ours is just very clean. I mean, you guys probably say, hey, it's clay, it's garbage, it's no good. But as fill, for fill, it doesn't get any better, what we remove from these yard drains. So the dig is probably 80% of the work. When you get to put your fabric in and all the pipe together, that's the most enjoyable part of the project, I think, for everybody, because everything goes so fast at that point. And a lot of people, I think they really overthink the connecting the pipes. They think they all have to be connected together. Remember, Boffman Tile made the High Octane yard drain pipe because they wanted a pipe that had more inlet than any other pipe in the world. This has 17.25 square inches of inlet per linear foot, and the water just moves right through the top pipes, right into the bottom pipes. They do not have to be connected, so don't overthink that. And matter of fact, if you don't want them to fill with stone in the end, that's why we recommend the Boffman Tile end plug in the 4-inch. And we do use some 6-inch as well, and they offer that end plug in the 6-inch too. So, you know, again, talking about how we build a road in, and then we finish the furthest part of the project, and then we start working our way out. So we have guys that are, you know, cutting fabric, they're pinning fabric. We got guys that are piecing the sod back together, because that's like a puzzle. We got a couple of guys working together, you know, collecting some of the plywood and starting to get that back out on the trucks to go to the next job. So it's very systematic. And if you're a contractor and you're trying to get more efficient at this, I mean, you're looking at it. This is a well-oiled machine. You're not going to pick up efficiency in yard drains. There's some scrap of the fabric they cut because you don't want to overlap, guys. Remember that. You do not want to overlap more than a couple inches. You want to cut off all the excess, because if you have overlap, you'll lose your flow rating. You won't be able to get water through that fabric, and that's what gives fabric a bad name. Contractors just don't know how to install it properly. So that's why we started putting our videos up. We feel that YouTube in particular, you guys, we're crying for a higher level, more intelligent installation team to show you how to do your yard drain than what was available. Unfortunately, what was out there was pretty dated, and it was just putting a Band-Aid on a water problem, and it had an early expiration date at best. What fuels us to take the time to put these videos together for you so that you can see drone footage and understand the layout of the system, and you could see the guys on the ground and what they're doing, the tools they're using, the techniques that I'm describing, the narration. If you like these videos and you find them to be helpful, please give us a thumbs up. We would love to have you as a subscriber if you're not already subscribed. And if you are a loyal subscriber, you know that you can expect a quality install each and every video from the French Drain Man team. We're a licensed building company, and we're the only licensed building company doing like this install, which is a suburban yard drain. We're the only licensed building company out there that are putting their resources towards draining properties and doing it the right way the first time, so that this doesn't have to be torn out and redone several years from now.